Hey, it's D. It's a brand new episode coming right for you, right on the FTO network. Enjoy. Hey guys, D here. I just wanted to say this is my new microphone. I'm not using this one on this podcast, but in future podcasts, you'll hear this sound nice and crisp. I hope you enjoy it. All right, we are live. If you're listening to the podcast, this is D with FTO Nerd Talk. This is a live broadcasting on my IG, so you may get comments, you may get people popping in, saying hi, leaving questions, things like that. So I'll get right to it. We are talking about Doctor Who news. Like any fans out there, this is for you. This is like for the Whovians, as they call themselves. So the Whovians are excited. I'm excited. Kuti Gatwa from Sex Education is now going to be the new Doctor. 2023, taking over Jodie Foster. Jodie, goodness, I can't think of her last name. The most current Doctor. He's going to be like the new one. Stepping on my words. Going live is a whole different bag of words, isn't it? But this is nice. This is interesting. It's you know what? Like, I want to talk about the negative before I talk about the positive of this. And like the negative for me is how's it going, everybody? Is that when I first posted this, and even when I saw this in different comments, I saw the negative about this. I saw people talking about well, I can't wait to see like who's gonna get angry about this. And I feel like that shouldn't be our first snap judgment when it comes to things like this. I feel like making that our first snap judgment is unfair to the actor, unfair to like especially us as black folk, getting into this sphere of seeing ourselves in these characters, especially characters where change the gender makes more sense. Because there we are. Slight delay. I think my Wi-Fi trying to catch up with my connection on my phone, and it was a whole different thing. I think we're set now. But what I was saying is it's different seeing the reaction of people. This is much like the John Constantine reaction that I saw, where some folks who are so used to seeing John Constantine be like a white person and do his thing as a white person who's also British, and having that transition being changed to a black person, maybe it's more of a shock for certain individuals. But Coffee Cozy just says true, celebrate the opportunity, and that's exactly the way I want to go about talking about news like this. It's celebrating those opportunities, because that's what this is. It's an opportunity. We get to see these characters being changed in a way that makes sense, that doesn't even come off in a pandering sense, that have no negative connotations attached to it, that gives us more fresh stories of a person who is in fact a Time Lord. So they travel through the past and the future of time, and them being black is going to change those stories. It's going to give a whole different feel to it. One of those stories are changed in more of a educational sense for us to see a black person in the past and how they handle any individual, because the doctor themselves have essentially the confidence of every person. The doctor doesn't to let bigotry, doesn't let hate stand in their way of doing what needs to be done. And that is something I want to see being brought to this character. I feel that is the nuance that is being lost as a viewer to see with this character. It's to see that kind of aspect with this character. And I want to see Gatwa bring that to this, because if you guys have seen Sex Education, he really does bring it in this character. You see his struggle, you see his growth, his progression of his character on the show Sex Education, and to see the acting skills that he had in that show, and to see that being brought to Doctor Who, I'm here for it. Marcel, how's it going? Just talking about Gatwa here, and I loved him in Sex Education also. I literally kept watching it because of her. I started because of Asa Butterfield, and I kept watching it because of Gatwa. And and of course Gillian Anderson is phenomenal at what she does also. But Like this is new. This is big. This is incredible, and like I'm here for it. I didn't have much on the news topic to talk about this week. I did see that White Man Can't Jump is getting rebooted. I thought that was pretty interesting to see. They do have I'm really curious like how that's going to play out. Is it going to be a period piece in the 90s again? Is it going to take place now? Like how they're going to look? Is it going to be more of a college feel? Is it going to be street ball again? Are they going to do more of a backstory when it comes to White Man Can't Jump like that? I know a lot of people frown on reboots and remakes, but I got to tell you, like I like reboots and remakes. Like I feel like reboots and remakes kind of like bring some nuance to. Think of it this way: when we do like when we do a reboot at DC, or if Marvel goes in time and changes the timeline, what it really does is updates those characters, keeps them the same age, keeps them like in the same kind of like status quo that they're already in, but like it migrates them to our time. And like to see that happen with a film, to have like it upgraded or reboot itself like to our time, to like the way we see things, the way the majority or the minority perceive things, I feel like that is always a good way to approach something. And I really want to see like how that looks. Yes, and like that exactly. Like Marcel just said, just like in Bel Air. Like the way Bel Air was upgraded for us now. Like you get to see like how black wealth looks today. Like you get to see like the panorama view of black people in like a high scale society aspect without like the studio audience attached to it. And like that's the other part as well. Like you get to see it without that studio audience. You get to see it without that laugh track or the silly wacky hijinks you see in the 90s version, which was like the prime of the 90s, which like just like hijinks, hilarity, all that, and you get to see more of a realistic depth view of these characters, from Will to Uncle Phil, Carlton to Aunt Viv, to like all those characters. You get to see like the scope of how society or their family shapes who they are, and like how we reflect upon them. And like when it comes like the White Man Can't Jump, or even again with Doctor Who, which is the main topic, is I want to see how that looks for us. I want to see like how black creators can put that in a way for all of us to enjoy and like gather something from it. Even if we don't learn something, we can like take it in and put it into the things that we create and keep on going forward with it. It fits the time better. Exactly. It fits the time better. I absolutely agree with you. And like that's what I want to keep seeing when it comes to this. That's why like I'm all for changing like the skin color of a character. I know Quantum Leap also. Raymond Lee, the main protagonist in the new Quantum Leap show, is going to be Pan-Asian. So we're going to have like a Asian person playing the main protagonist, jumping through time and going through like different people, like and trying to fix situations that are broken to make them better. Like, I am for that. Honestly, I think they should go into the future with that as well, make it more of a Doctor Who kind of feel, but not outwardly time travel, not space aliens, not like, fixing problems like in that manner, but like have like the Quantum Leap feel, but go in the past and the future from like the time period that Quantum Leap was already set in, and like having like an Asian man play that. That is something that like I am so here to see, like 110% like here to see something like that, like because like that's a whole different aspect also. I just watch or try to watch Snake Eyes, and I do think the director and the company dropped the ball when it came to that movie. The cast was supposed to be story-wise Japanese, but the cast were from like the Philippines, they were from Malaysia, they were from China. Like the cast was like a Pan-Asian cast, and that kind of took me out of the movie. Like it just did. Marcel just says like I do miss sick comedy feel though, like just because everything feels too serious sometimes. Like I do agree with that, but I do like if you want that sick comedy kind of feel, the best place to go for that is usually either CBS or sadly like Disney Channel. Like that's where you see the laugh tracks. That's where you see like the hijinks, like the hilarity in that manner. I was just talking about before how Big Bang Theory is a show that I really dislike, but also had that kind of feel to it as well. So yeah. Like, I do think a lot of things are changing. It may be a slow progress. We do have like some things that are kind of retracting into the dark ages with, say, Roe versus Wade, or women in Afghanistan like being completely covered. Like things are going in a backwards mode, but some things are going forward. And if we keep looking at the negative, we can't even appreciate the positive. And we gotta like try to see the positive, even if it is in this minuscule entertainment kind of feel. I still think like things are trying to get better. There are people who want things to change. If you guys go on TikTok, if you go on Twitter, there are tons of people advocating for things to change, and they're constantly talking about things for changing. You know, they're doing the job of influencing you. And there was a point in late 2021 that people were not influencing each other. They were just trying to like make funny content. They were just trying to make like get views and things like that. But the fans set them straight. The people set them straight. And if we can do it in the scope of social media, if we can do it in the scope of this, whatever you want to call this, I think like we can do it like in the scope of like changing our cities, then changing our states, and then changing like the government itself. But I guess that's a story for a different time, or maybe even a different podcast. But yeah, you know what? Yeah. Marcel also says like, you know what we really need? A Gullah Gullah Island reboot. That show was ahead of its time. And you know what? I'm gonna take off that and go off this idea that I have for a while. Gullah Gullah Island is a show that taught kids about different cultures, different lifestyle, different people, much like a lot of the shows of Nickelodeon and Disney, and like even the WB at times. Like it shows you like you know how people live their lives, how things go day in day out. Like you pretty much like the offspring of the template that is Sesame Street. And when I look at TikTok, when I look at Twitter, when I look at places of people teaching and educating others about like how things are through that scope of like a children's show, through that scope of interaction of humans and people doing like day in, day out kind of mundane kind of things, I always think to myself, why isn't the History Channel hiring these people, giving them shows to teach us in like a bigger productive kind of manner, and like having us watch TV shows instead of us watching things on TikTok all the time. We see sponsors and things like that on TikTok from content creators, and like, you know, advertisers will buy it, but I want to see more stuff like that are like geared for education. Like have like a Big Think or Tech Talk create TV shows and pay content creators like on Twitter and TikTok to create those shows. That is what I think should be the future of all like the content creators who educate us on the regular, instead of trying to like scrounge for cash on these social media platforms. I say like these bigger companies who have like the payout should be paying these people to create the content that we all want to see. Like I want to see what different tribes in Africa did like before colonizers showed up. I want to see what the different cultures were like in, say, different parts of East and West Asia. I want to see how the conflict of Ukraine and Russia came to be before it got to this point that we're at now. I want to see like all those different kind of things. Yeah, because like ancient aliens and pawn stars and watching Nazi documentaries can only go for so long. You can only rewatch those things for so many times, and like, you know, it's not really entertainment at times. It's just to pass the time. Yeah, they do give you snippets of information like, hey, this thing was bought and this thing was first created in 1860 and like it was part of this XYZ. Like, yeah, I get that. But it's only for so long can I keep on being a part of something like that. It gets old after a while, is what I'm really trying to say. But I'm going to post this on my podcast. It probably won't be today. It'll probably be like tomorrow or Tuesday. I am still going to do my podcast where I talk about the news. So there's much more news I talked about. And I'm trying to gear my news more towards diverse, of focusing on black and brown people, focusing on like LGBTQ individuals, focusing on Pan-Asian people and Latinx individuals like inside the entertainment sphere. If you guys have any articles that you want me to talk about and post, please let me know. DM me wherever you want. When it comes to the podcast I'm going to be doing, it's going to be mostly where we see Hollywood and other parts of Hollywood and like some things that I may just find randomly and just put out there. I know Fukuname, I know Your Nerd, they also are focusing more on news Fukuname is focusing more on the gaming side of news. If you guys want, I say check them out. See what they're doing out there. Your Nerd is focusing more on like the comic aspect of news. And like I say, also check him out as well because he talks about a lot of insight of the nerddom that is on Twitter, but also affects the comic book world. So like if that pertains to you, if you like stuff like that, you like talking about like comic book news and like the ins and out of artists and writers and like how they treat these characters, check out Yo Nerd. If you like the ins and outs of video games and like the culture of video games and how Frosty sees the video game industry as we see it, I say definitely check him out at Fukuname also. Thank you all for joining me on this today. Again, if you want to listen to a repeat about this, check out FTO Nerd Talk podcast. It's everywhere you can find it. Comfy Cozy, Marcel, both of you, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night. Until then, you guys take it easy. Hey guys, D here of FTO Nerd Talk. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, tell your friends about FTO Nerd Talk. Got a lot of different shows for all of you. Make sure you tune in every week for a brand new episode. Take it easy.